if you could change some things about the music industry, let's just say, theoretically, say if you were in charge, if you had your way, but then also just practically, if just being who you are, obviously not Barack Obama who can change the copyright laws. You know, let's say you were in charge.
I'd like to make those longer. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's been happening slowly over the last like 50 years. You know, it was started out as 26 years, and then they added a 26-year extension.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's the life of the author plus 75 years.
Right.
And to me, it's like starting a company. If I start a company, a hardware store,
mm-hmm.
who says after 75 years after I die, it becomes public property?
Right.
Then my great-grandkids can't run the store
right.
because it just got given away.
Right.
You know, so I think you're going to find companies like Disney and Warner's that have a lot of music in movies, in cartoons. They're the ones that I think are really spearheading and have the money
right.
to sort of lobby and say, these guys should have their rights throughout their family's history.
Right.
Right. We'll see what happens with that.
Copyleft. Have you heard of copyleft as opposed to copyright?
No.
There's this idea of copyleft that I think Barack has been somewhat involved with, but it's a movement actually to do away with copyrights. It's left, obviously.
That's bad.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
It's pretty complex, but
if you go back to the time of the great composers,
uh-huh.
Mozart, Beethoven, Tchaikovsky, those people were all supported by wealthy families.
Right.
Usually the royal families, but sometimes not. Sometimes just some wealthy,
baron,
whatever, and
yeah.
and they'd go. You come live in this guest cottage,
right.
and you have room and board, and we're going to give you this much money every
mm-hmm.
Every month,
mm-hmm.
and I want you to write a couple orchestras and kind of like write them about me,
right.
or whatever, or
right.
an opera, and that's how they got paid back then.
Right.
And then when that was done, it was done.
Yeah.
Yeah. So imagine if Beethoven's or Mozart's family right now, I'm assuming there's probably thousands of them around the world,
right.
could make $1 every time the ninth or the fifth were played.
Right.
It'd be awesome.
Yeah, it would be.
And the only people that are really, if I can say bitching about it, are the radio stations and
right.
the television stations, because they go, well, we gotta write a check for $127 every
mm-hmm.
2 weeks to ASCAP or BMI or Ferry
right.
Fox or something.
And the live venues as well.
Yeah, yeah.
They really.
And now they're trying to get internet radio, I think, too, right?
Yeah.
But if it's just a few pennies, and
right.
you're supporting the arts, that's
right.
the thing you have to remember.
Right.
We're losing music in schools.
mm-hmm.
We're losing so many things in schools.
mm-hmm.
And it's not all about math and history and stuff like that. We need the arts.
Right.
We really do.
Right. It's true. We were just talking to someone about that, saying, is it the people that are moving maybe less away, or say there's oversaturation of music, or there's not as much of a value of music, or they're complaining that there's not enough good music, or whatever, or is it the business and the artists and the model that we as in the entertainment industry have set up for them, that I'm taking that, saying that's where we are now, as opposed to maybe where we were in the 60s and 70s, where there was much more money going through, there was much more delineation between the business, the art, the audience, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It was newer, it was.
I think one of the key things you just said is the quality of music that's being written.
Right.
And that's something I've worked for years on and off as an engineer with Michael Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
And believe me, the guy, when it comes to business,
mm-hmm.
I mean, he's the most talented person I've ever met. But when it comes to business, he knows what he's talking about. And
right.
the one thing that he's been harping on is people don't write good songs anymore. And
mm-hmm.
he doesn't mean everybody. There are great songs being written right now.
Right.
But so much of what we listen to on the radio, and I have, 2 teenagers, and I hear the stuff they download, and every once in a while there's something good,
mm-hmm.
that catches my ear, and I go, "Wow, that's good. That's
right.
got a catchphrase. I can hear it in my head,
right.
But I'd say 80% of it is to be nice crap.
Right. So it's our fault. It's not the people's fault.
A lot of it is the label's fault.
Right.
Because labels tend to do a Me Too thing. TV networks do it too.
Right.
If you all of a sudden have a successful show about either a doctor or a lawyer, you can believe another network or 2 are going to do the same thing.
Right.
It'll be a little bit different, but all of a sudden there's 8 doctor shows out there, or
right.
8 legal shows, and if that legal show is successful, then they'll do 2 more.
Right.
And and the same thing's happening with music. I think they're just basically saying, well, this is really popular right now. The kids love this. Okay, let's find 5 more acts like this and develop them. 2 of them might make it, you know? And I think some of it is the people that, do you know the name John Clodner?
I don't think so.
I think he worked for Geffen for years. He was a person who really picked a lot of unique bands that were really good, different, and most of them were successful, and didn't follow any model. No, and luckily he had done it enough where he didn't have a hand on his shoulder going, no, I need you to find me 2 of these and 3 of these and that kind of stuff.
Right.
You know, so A&R people, by and large, are so fearful of signing acts.
Right.
Because if they sign, I'm over generalizing, but if they sign 2 acts that don't make it, they'll probably lose their job.
Right.
So their favorite word is no, unless a committee, you know, supports them and go, no, I think you should sign this one. You know, but they're so scared to say yes, especially if the music is different than the last 3 things that they signed.
Right.
You know, and I think that's hurting a lot. You know, I think songs, by and large, are popular if you can remember the hook.
Right.
And I'm not going to denigrate rap or hip hop in any way. I mean, I'd love to have had some of the success that some of those artists have had.
Right.
But most of it, I can walk away going, wow, there's nothing I can really hum along with here.
Right.
You know, and you lose. Publishers are losing in that music. In that music is not coverable. You know, an orchestra is not going to do it. You're never going to hear it on an elevator.
Right.
You're never going to hear it in Kmart because, you know, you hear all these Beatles songs and you hear all these well-written songs that have melody.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so I think it comes back to melody.
Yep.
And lyrics.
Yep.